We are social creatures. We thrive and have been thriving on cooperation, communication, working together, banding together. It's the whole idea of the tribe, and traditionally being outcasted from that tribe and being forced to survive on our own was basically a death sentence. But I think that, especially in today's day and age, there is an unsung praise for solitude that very few of us are really accepting, especially when it comes to relationships, right? Like, it's so easy to view a single person as like a loser, or someone that's not so closely tied to a friend group as like kind of a social outcast and stuff like that. And I think that there is a value to solitude that you just can't get when you're constantly cluttering your life up with people and cluttering your life up with activities and doing. And there needs to be stillness, the balance that even going as far back as Buddhism talks about, the balance that is so important in our lives, comes from the polar opposite, because we live in a society that is so go, 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 and you must be creating, you must be doing, you must be working, you must be whatever, interacting, putting yourself out there. And I do all these things, but there's also, the more you do, the more you need to find that stillness to balance it out, is basically what I'm trying to say. And solitude is the finest and sharpest way to really get to the core truth of what we're going through. Because I'm in therapy, I do yoga, I work out regularly, I journal regularly, I do dream journaling even. There's a lot of different things that I do. I meditate that help me stay grounded, help me balance myself out. But I think there's a level of just pure solitude and stillness. And I think that some of those things that I mentioned, like meditating, journaling, a lot of those things are activities to do in that solitude, in that stillness. And I think that this is why it's so much easier to find yourself being at your most creative or your most productive when you're single, or when you're not living with family members, or you're not really going out as much. Because the less you spread yourself thin and the more you kind of bring yourself back to center, then you're able to really hone in on where your focus needs to be. Whether you're just simply focused on healing, or there's a certain level of creativity that you want to get to. All of that comes from just being alone for a moment and allowing yourself to really sink into the moment that you're in. And I know that for someone like me, it takes solitude in order for me to find mental clarity, and in order for me to really understand what I'm going through from a different perspective, other than just simply what I'm locked into. Just to tap into who I am in my dreams, which is a reflection of my moon, essentially. I'm finding that like as a Pisces moon, I'm really expressing myself in an emotional way, and in a very almost like swept away by my emotions in my dreams. There's a level of needing to be in control that we all want to feel, and when we're spreading ourselves too thin and we're spreading ourselves, like, or we're giving too much of ourselves essentially to certain people. Like I have some friends that, like, I'm happy to call them friends, but some of them almost view me as like a crutch in certain, like I know that I have family members that do the same thing. Whenever I speak to my dad specifically, he'll always kind of give me the rundown of what he's going through. And I mostly just sit there and listen, until like I feel like, I want to have like some interaction. So I'm going to interject like an opinion, not what I think anyone else should be doing, but like specifically like what I think or what I would be doing in his predicaments. But I think there's a level of self-control and discipline that just isn't present when we're spread too thin. And I know this is something that I keep reiterating, but it's a point I really need to drive home, because I have other friends that are really ambitious, and I'm really ambitious too. So like I really do appreciate their ambitiousness, but they want to be photographers, they want to be musicians, they want to be playwrights, they want to be all these different things at the same time, juggling so many different career paths at once. And I'm someone that just recently decided to do more than just music, because it's so easy for me to just focus on one thing and really do that. And I think as far as a career path goes, and as far as really pushing myself to grow in a career sort of way, music is still my medium. But like, why not express myself as a poet, as a slam poet like I used to? Why not express myself in morning talks like this video? Why not, like I actually have some events that I speak at live, like I got invited to speak at a suicide prevention event, and then I got invited to speak at a vulnerable narratives event, and now I'm doing another. So like, why not like open ourselves up in multiple ways? But the only reason why I believe that I'm able to do this is because I, for the past 2 years, have really spent a lot of time alone, contemplating, thinking, refining, and even moving forward with like a potential future relationship romantically, or the relationships that I have with my bandmates and other friends of mine. There's still a certain level of solitude that's necessary in order for me to remain creative, in order for me to find that stillness and that inner peace, to balance out the chaos of like putting myself out there in the world and seeing what happens and interacting with other people. Like I was in the city just the other day, and there's so many people, and as much as I love visiting the city, like I can't imagine living in the city, because it's just constant stimulation all the time. And this is why, like, even though I'm a creative, I make content regularly, I'm not consuming content regularly. Like maybe I'll be on YouTube watching like a video or two every day, but like I'm not like constantly going from one video to the other. I'm not like constantly scrolling Instagram or TikTok, even though I'm posting on those platforms regularly. It's because it's too overstimulating for me. And I know that in order for me to have the clarity in order to create, I can't be overstimulating myself with other things that are going on. Like, what did this person say? What's going on politically and all this stuff. Like, I have a general idea of what's happening in the world. I don't need the constant stimulation of like what's happening. I don't have that fear of missing out when it comes to, certain things anymore. I think that maybe in my 20s I was more like that, and in my teens definitely more like that. But the older we get, like the more it's kind of like, okay, I get it. I'll stay in touch with what's going on, but I'm not going to overly invest myself with what's going on. Like I haven't watched the new Rings of Power, but based on what I saw with the last season and what I'm hearing with this new season, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I know what's happening and it's fine. I don't need to stay up to date, and I'm not really too invested in it anyway, because like as much as I like Tolkien and as much as I like the Lord of the Rings, I don't feel like a poor adaptation of the Second Age is really ruining my childhood or ruining Tolkien for me. Like I still have those stories from the Silmarillion that I really enjoy, and those will always be what they are, and I know that for some people, like I watched House of the Dragon, like for some people that read Fire and Blood, it's a similar thing for that, and I like the stories in Fire and Blood. I like a lot of the adaptation in House of the Dragon. There's a few things that like I'm a little bummed out about with how they were adapted, but like at the end of the day, it's not ruining anything for me. Could it be better? Yes, but anything could be better. So I think that just to zoom out of all of that, overstimulating ourselves with TV shows and all these different distractions, people and whatnot, is clogging our energy. It's clogging our creativity. And we really need solitude. We need to be alone. Even when we are in a romantic relationship with someone else, we need to still carve out our own space. Even while we're living with that person, we need to still carve out our own space and our own solitude to really come back to ourselves, to find that inner peace and that mental clarity, to allow ourselves to continue to create, to continue to grow, and to just balance out our lives more healthily. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you took something of value from this video. I try to post a new video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, whether they be a live performance of music or a morning talk like this. So with that said, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a good day.